Imagine a marketer being able to rapidly scale and orchestrate customer journeys from start to finish through a fleet of AI powered marketing assistants. Within seconds, a team of AI agent creates multiple customer profiles, identifies journey steps, selects meaningful touch points, and develops assets to engage customers. After a quick human review, the AI agents execute actions, sending out emails or personalized messages, for example. Now, when a new insight emerges about customer behavior, the agent adapts with customized content or messaging. With the next wave in AI development on the horizon, this vision of so called agentic AI is becoming a reality. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Analytics Inside, your go to podcast where we explore the ideas, technologies, and leaders driving the next wave of innovation. And I'm your host, Priya Dialani. We are at a turning point in how work gets done, not just faster, but fundamentally smarter. The rise of agentic AI for marketing is transforming how decisions are made, actions are taken, and results are scaled in real time. Agentic AI for marketing isn't just another trend, it's a full on shift in how modern teams operate. To help us understand how brands can move from static dashboards to dynamic decision making, I'm thrilled to be joined by Dikshant Dave, founder and CEO of Zigment.ai. Hi Dikshant, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, hi Priya. Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty well. The preamble was great. So yeah, pretty excited to be here.
Definitely, and I think we are going to. We have spoken in earlier podcasts about agentic AI and how agentic AI is disrupting different industries. But of course, today we are going to discuss the impact and role of agentic AI across the marketing function and the marketing industry as a whole. So before we dive deeper into our theme today, we would like to kickstart our podcast by knowing more about Zigment.ai. So if you could help our listeners understand more about the company, its specialization, it would be great.
Sure. So Zigment is basically we are we are a current gen AI company. With that, what I mean is like we are a native AI business. We started after the whole LLM euphoria that we saw, that the whole development post the GPT 3.5 or Chat GPT came about on the scene. So our existence has AI is at the center of our kind of the thought process, ideation, and even the business platform, etc. Now, what we do primarily is we are a customer journey orchestration platform. We use agentic AI primarily, and with that, what I mean is something that you explained very well. Basically, our platform, which is constituted of multiple agents that work in kind of an orchestrated way and autonomously, but in a way a marketer wants them to kind of function, and they carry out a task in the entire kind of a marketing or a customer journey. Which can involve not just engagement with customers at different points of the funnel, could be across any channel that they come in. Today's world of kind of today's business world, basically your customers could be speaking to you as a business on your website, and probably kind of in a few hours they could kind of be liking your Instagram post or kind of emailing you about a question, really having multiple touch points. So Zigment as a business, what we do is we kind of deploy the platform and help businesses engage with their customers across these myriad of customer channels, and orchestrate the workflows that kind of exist in a typical or any business's kind of a marketing funnel, which could be adding to the CRM, kind of doing certain qualification kind of functions, or sending them emails, brochures, etc.
Great, that's a fantastic overview, and thank you for setting the stage so clearly. I'm really glad to see how your organization is carving out a unique space in such a competitive landscape, especially with the focus on agentic AI. So let's dive deeper into your personal role and the impact you have made within the company. You have a knack of turning ideas into products, and you specialize in building distributed teams, driving tech strategy, and ensuring technology serves humanity functionality rather than eclipsing it. So, can you tell us more about yourself? How has the journey been till date? And what triggered the birth of Zigment.ai, and what exactly is your role and contribution towards the company?
Sure. Thanks for asking this question. So basically, I've been an entrepreneur all throughout my career, and basically just starting, by degree or kind of qualification. I'm an engineer. I'm a computer science graduate. So basically, my career has been a series of kind of picking business ideas that kind of made sense at whatever times of the my career, which seemed relevant and kind of interested me, and applying what I have learned. With Zigment, basically, it has been, when it was a sabbatical that kind of I took from my previous startup, which was where we were building a kind of a machine learning based algorithm for supplementation, a consumer, like your wellness supplementation. And we kind of wound that up in during COVID. And in that break of about a year or so, when coincidentally the chat GPT, or the whole AI, the new wave of AI has existed kind of primarily for last 30-40 years, but this new wave of AI kind of seemed really interesting and very real and touching. With chat GPT, it kind of started feeling that, okay, now this is kind of moved away from, or gone just from the tech sphere to now consumer kind of real time, real day-to-day usage. So there, basic our my idea, or kind of the driver was from the previous organization. We were basically, I had a problem in mind which was like unsolved in my previous organization, and with AI, I kind of saw an opportunity that, okay, this is the kind of the tech or a way that kind of would help me solve that problem. And that problem was basically, in that previous organization, we were trying to kind of the product was complex and it required consultation. So it required, like, basically a people to us to explain our potential customers or users, how does this product work, what are the kind of, and they might have questions about, like, what does it do, will it kind of impact negatively because it was a consumable product, would it kind of have a counter indications with their existing kind of other medications, etc. Now, that we tried solving with tech, whatever that was there, which was a pre LLM era, but we weren't successful. But wherever we, as a founders, we spoke with the customers directly and we explained our product and kind of answered their questions, we would convert pretty much 8 out of 10 customers. Now, that, for obvious reasons, it was very hard to scale that business, because if it required us to kind of talk to every user, we wouldn't have enough time to kind of do that across at scale. With nothing worked, and like this problem stayed with me for some reason. And when the LLM kind of came about, the first point was that now that we have ability to kind of replicate myself and kind of talk to all the customers at scale, would it make a difference, and can we kind of build something which can actually deliver on this promise? And that was a kind of a seed, or kind of, I would say, the germ of an idea that kind of just began the journey of Zigment.
Great, quite an interesting and impressive journey, Dikshant, and thank you for sharing that. And we are always glad to, hear and listen how leaders like yourself are not just shaping strategy, but also staying hands-on with innovation and execution. And of course, we would like to know more about, the entire thing of how Zigment.ai operates. And my next question is somewhat linked to some of the problems that probably you faced and that triggered the birth of Zigment.ai. Now, we often hear statistics like 80% of enterprise data is unstructured, but many businesses still struggle to translate what that actually means in a real world context. From customer service transcripts to social media mentions and purchase behavior, this vast pool of unstructured data remains underutilized. So, like I said, I mean, how can probably business tackle this problem of unstructured data? What are some of the examples of this, and why is it a blind spot for most businesses?
Okay. Again, great question, and something that we try and educate our customers and kind of get into a conversation about this. So when we say, like, first of all, and I would like to kind of just pause and kind of address that, like, what is this unstructured data that we talk about. Now, traditionally, we have the systems have been built around structured information, structured data structure, sets. Now, whether it is like your database, your CRM, and Google Analytics, all of the systems, if you dig deeper, they are built primarily on fixed columns, fixed data. So, like, okay, if you have a customer, the customer should have your name, age, profession, whatever, like fixed set of information that you would set. Now, every system, like technically in software engineering, every system has been built around understanding that this is our data structure, this is our data model. Now, it has worked so far, and we've come this far. Obviously, great things have been achieved, through software development, but it still kind of captures only, I would say, a fraction of information that exists today. And when you say information, we are storing that information in form of this, fixed data about customers, about kind of transactions, about products, etc. But the real world, there is a lot of information out there which basically still kind of is kind of generating this unstructured kind of information. So whether it is your Google reviews, whether people are kind of asking questions on email, they are coming and chatting with your chatbot on your website, dropping comments on your Instagram post. There's a ton of stuff that exists. The Gartner study says that, like, are even today, like 70% of the data is unstructured. Like 70 for information is unstructured. What we operate on as a software industry is being like 20-25% of this information, which is structured. Now, with AI coming in, we are going to say, and we, as we are seeing that lot of these systems, which are because of chat gpt's kind of now prevalence of people getting used to typing a question on their prompt, asking question to your chat gpt, this interface is becoming more and more prevalent. So even likes of Microsoft or WhatsApp or Google, all of them are started providing you their icon for chatbot, where you can just ask question, or ask the AI to kind of do a certain things on your Excel, or kind of create a illustration for your PowerPoint, or like a Google presentation. So what that means is that now the UI is changing from the fixed kind of clicks and page views, etc., to now more on the conversational, data. So from anywhere we had like 70% data was unstructured even before, the AI hit us. Now that data is going to go explode. Like, we're going to have a ton of data, unstructured data going forward. What this does is that, if you think about it, that it's a marketer's gold mine, that without instead of somebody just clicking on a product link or buy now, they're asking now a very well-formed question, like, well-formed question, like, oh, like, will this bag survive like a trek, will this bag, let's say, like, how soon can I get the delivery? Now, these are signals, right? These are signals that marketers would love to have. Like, so moment somebody says, like, okay, will this survive a trek, means that, okay, the user is going to use it for trek. Like, that means he has a certain personality. He's asking for how soon can you deliver, that kind of triggers urgency. These kind of data points or signals that can be extracted from unstructured data have practically been missing from the existing systems. So even when you have these kind of chatbot, interactions, etc., finally what goes into a CRM is like, let's say the user is not interested. Just that you kind of strip down all the valuable information from that conversation or interaction, and strip down into like a couple of words that gets into a CRM, because the CRM is built that way. It is not built to operate on unstructured data. Uh, so what we saw as an opportunity, or what we are seeing, is that world at large now, with the AI push, we are going to get into a stage where more and more data is going to get unstructured. Your buying signals, your customer interactions, everything that you want to kind of do to engage with the customer is going to be in unstructured data. So while your structured data, systems like CRM may still exist for these clicks and page views, we will need another alternative systems which are going to be your source of truth, or record keepers for unstructured data. And that's a vision, that's a long term, goal or vision that we are carrying, and we kind of see ourselves as kind of category leader for that emerging vision.
That's a really insightful breakdown, and thank you for that. It's fascinating and honestly a bit alarming to realize how much valuable information is hiding in plain sight. And we've got social media conversation, calls and the transcripts, emails, chat logs, all brimming with context that traditional analytics tools often overlook. So. I think we are living in a world where customer experience is everything, and leaving that much context untapped can be a real competitive disadvantage. So let's build on that thought, and because navigating this complexity requires more than just one or multiple tools, I guess. Now, in today's rapidly changing business environment, I think the ability to make quick, informed decisions can be the difference between success and failure. Now, companies rely on data to drive decisions. Data about customers, market trends, operations, and even more. But what happens when that data isn't integrated properly? Now, when it's fragmented across different tools, departments, and systems. Now, the truth is, fragmented data can severely slow down decision-making processes, affecting everything from productivity to the quality of the decisions made. Now, Martech, if we talk about Martech, I think it's being split into silos: engagement, automation, and data. So, how does this fragmentation hurt customer experience and decision making?
Yeah, you touch upon the right point, Priya. So traditionally, when we started kind of digging, and when we thought, okay, this is the problem that we want to solve, which is customer engagement, uh, we basically we kind of we my understanding was that, okay, like rest of it is everything is solved. Martech as a vertical, we've seen like thousands of systems and softwares being market leaders, kind of doing their job and being there, like everything kind of seemed like at the outset feels like everything is sorted, like you don't need anything. But as we started getting down the rabbit hole of kind of like how do we solve for this Martech problem, which was starting with customer engagement, we started realizing after discussing or kind of in conversations with our customer that oh, but like you would do this engagement, but then how does it kind of integrate, or like how does it how do you pass this context to my CRM? How do you kind of pass this context to my CDP? Or how does like my CRM pass its context to to your AI agent or something else? This was basically a realization that all these systems that exist in a MarTech, and typically a software or any sophisticated company today would have like 8 to 10 different systems or softwares in their tech stack in marketing. And rarely do we see that these talk to each other. Maybe there is an API integration that kind of exists, but each of them have a different structure of data, different understanding. And what happens is that at most you can kind of put a Zapier from your Facebook ads integration to your CRM. And there also you would kind of have to compromise on what is the kind of data you can pass, because CRM is restricted. And again, Meta will have, or Facebook will have a certain way of kind of giving out that information. You can probably plumb it, but it kind of starts feeling like it's a band-aid solution. It's not something that kind of will solve your core internal issues. You will probably be able to bandage it. And what that does to customer experience is primarily that you lose context. So let's say a user today, the example that I gave you earlier was where it has come to your Instagram post, it to your a very specific post, it asked you like few questions. Let's say again the example of that bag, where it is asking about this question of like, oh, how soon can you deliver, or like what happens now when the same user comes into the website. that context is lost. There's no way to kind of pass on that context and say that, hey, we have like show this back and kind of say, okay, by the way, we have like, this delivery, is like next day delivery, something like that, something that makes user feel like I have been heard, and you are as a brand so acutely kind of aware of my interests that it starts feeling like a wow. And when we all like have experience in some or the other brands, use cases, cases where they go exceptional service, and we feel like, wow, this is like such a good thing, and you would want to repeat that experience over and again. And there are so many brands, or like, who are great examples of that. But at large, this is missing, in the previous world, because of the tech limitations, because of these siloed, softwares that exist, who are incapable of passing the context. Say, for example, even if I sense the urgency, in somewhere, how do you pass it on, how do you add it to your CDP? That, oh, this user and like, his requirement is really urgent, or a CRM. It's very hard because the systems have not been built that way. And these softer signals are also unstructured. That makes it difficult. So I think the problem that we've seen is like your current, because of this data, like, these exist, or kind of, residing in these silos, and their lack of kind of a context, building between these silos, it impacts the customer experience immensely. Resulting is that, okay, you're just kind of doing a bare bone, making sure that functionally you kind of answered the question, but missing out on everything else, which would kind of put the brand as like really top notch.
Definitely. And I think it's clear that while businesses are investing heavily in tools, the lack of integration across different verticals, whether it's automation or data, I think those layers create a serious disconnect. And what I find especially interesting is that this isn't just a challenge. I think it's a strategic one. When different teams operate on different data sets or measure success in silos, I think it becomes nearly impossible to deliver the kind of cohesive or personalized experiences that today's customers expect. So let's keep building on that thought because it leads to something even more powerful. And my next question is around that. That is how contextual intelligence powered by AI is helping brands cut through that noise and act in the moment. I mean, businesses are constantly seeking innovative ways to enhance their conversion rates and maximize ROI, and that's where contextual intelligence come into picture, which is increasingly being seen as a bridge between raw data and real-time decision making. When it is applied thoughtfully, it can turn overlooked moments into high impact interactions. But the power of this approach is best understood through practical application. So, can you give more idea or context about contextual AI, and if you can share some real world examples where contextual AI has led to improved conversion or retention for a client?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so internally, what we call, at least our trademark IP is called conversation graph. And what we kind of begun doing is that there needs to be like one single registry of all the events that happen in a customer's journey. Now, these events could be every message that kind of is exchanged between the user and whether it's AI or a human. It could be clicks, it could be page views, it could be some updates on the CRM of like when those happen, like somebody tried calling but customer did not pick up, that gets into your CRM as like customer not responding. So basically our primary tech is kind of centered around this, what we call conversation graph. And conversation graph is basically an entire capturing of entire journey, every event, and kind of triggers that happen in that journey. Now, what that does is that it's a combination of your structured and unstructured data, which basically means that, okay, there is a click on something on a page view, but it also is coupled with the subjective or a qualitative information that would have happened on a conversational bot. Now, a conversational agent, to give you an example, let's say somebody coming onto the website and trying to kind of book a test drive on that web page. Now, what typically happens is that the user comes on the website, fills a form. This is a traditional way, fills a form, it goes to the call center tries calling this user, and let's say the user is when the user has filled the form, on the website, he probably was on the lunch break. And when the call center kind of reaches back, it probably is like maybe like say 4 hours, when they kind of get a call back. And at that time, the user is kind of busy and like not able to pick up the phone. Now, the way call centers operate or like general systems operate is that they would have a certain policy or a protocol that, okay, we'll try like in span of 15 minutes, we'll try thrice, 3 times. And if they don't pick up, the entry will be marked as, not responding or RNR on the CRM. And then they would go into a static flow of, certain standard message that you would get on your WhatsApp or your email, which is again generalized, for everybody. So this is a standard flow where if you happen to get a call, you would kind of say, okay, and then kind of test drive gets booked. But a lot of the users we know from our own practical, our lives, that it's not every time that you can kind of go through the flow that the brand or the kind of business requires. You would have your like, I want to get it done when I have time, not necessarily when business has the time. So imagine this response, this being converted into an AI interface, which is what we are doing right now, where the user comes in and it's kind of, it starts engaging with our AI agent, where AI agent is asking, user the same information that it would have kind of, filled a form with. Difference is that now agent is available as an interactive, smart sales kind of an executive who can answer questions. So while you have like, there are 5 questions, and after providing answers to 2 questions, the user feels that, no, I want to ask you this question, because before I kind of fill the further, information, I want to ask you this question. What happens is that experience kind of immensely, improves. That not only do they get their information, but also is kind of meaningfully kind of addressing all the kind of questions that a user has, along with kind of like passing on the information that business requires. What happens is that like entire conversation continues on with the AI, and let's say at some point, where you want to have like a human in the loop to kind of convert that particular conversation, that can be added. If not, AI figures out that, okay, we have, based on the location of the user that you have asked the user, in some way, based on that, you have connected in the backend because it's agentic, AI, we kind of, interact with, which are the dealerships which are available for this particular model, and who have a test drive vehicle, at their end. Moment that patches up and you kind of negotiate on a time and day with the user, you actually made a booking right on that conversation. And so this is the best case scenario. Even the worst case scenario, when the user has kind of dropped off, let's say in somewhere in between, the AI, when it sends an email, let's say an email goes out from the system that, hey, like great talking to you, let's say Akash, and then we have this particular model of the car available. Wanted to kind of see if you are available. And this kind of this is the passing of context, that you have continued the context from that chat to kind of email, and or WhatsApp, or whichever mode is available or feasible. The context continues, and even for the broken, disjoint conversations, it's a one consistent thread that kind of goes on. And with that, the user experience is profoundly better than what it would be with a call center, with the humans kind of stuff. Also, when call centers kind of, executive kind of calls up, they would also record like only the few keywords from that conversation into the CRM, and missing out on a lot of things that, user would have asked, let's say like a specific color that they want to kind of check out when they visit the showroom, or like ask for a specific kind of, tech question, which when you kind of retain that context and pass it on to every system in the back end, the experience is profoundly better. And what that does is that your conversions are going to be good. Now, we all know that, users are going to buy or spend more time or engage with where the experience is going to be better at the end of the day. So we think that, yeah, this basically results in better experience and hence better conversion. And this is something that we've kind of done, across multiple customers. And we've not kind of we stayed away from kind of selling AI as a vanity, that because it's a trend and kind of it's going to do well. We have always been focusing on making sure that there is a problem that exists, and we are solving that problem. AI happens to be the way to solve that problem, not necessarily kind of AI is the kind of point to be sold. So that has allowed us to kind of make sure that we are focused on kind of delivering outcomes and results. So customers like Nova IVF, who we are working with for last I would say 9 or 10 months now, and we've consistently delivered not just a bump in their conversion, but reduction in CAC, etc. In a very measured way.
Definitely, and thank you for sharing that example. And it really brings to life how contextual AI isn't just a buzzword, but a powerful tool when applied with the right strategy and a proper understanding of customer behavior. And I think personalization today is more about being relevant in the moment. And with AI in the picture, when it can understand the intent and context across multiple data points and touch points, that's when it moves from being reactive to truly proactive. So let's continue and build continue on the momentum that we have built. I mean, I think for all the dollars spent by American companies on R&D, there often remains a persistent and troubling gap inherent value of the technology they develop and the ability to put it to work effectively. Now, introducing technological change into an organization presents a different set of challenges to management than does the work of a competent project administration. Now, frequently, however, the C-level executives or the top management is responsible for spearheading a technical innovation into routine, which is, of course, and should be much better equipped by education and experience to guide that innovation's development than to manage its implementation. So, what are some of the biggest hurdles companies face when trying to transition from a structured data dependency platform to a more context-aware system?
Yeah, I think yeah, spot on. I would say, like, convergence onto the right problem. And of course, when we say talk about solutions could be great, etc., ultimately it boils down to how are you going to implement this, and how are you going to make sure that the adoption kind of is happening across not just for the department but across the board. Very relevant question, and something that we have been learning, as we have kind of been growing. It is not trivial. So transformation, the entire transform, like while we say that AI transformation is coming, one of the things that we have realized and kind of now educate our customers is that don't think of transformation as like one monolithic large entity. I think your important part is that you have to transform, and start with baby steps first. So what we do is understand kind of a business's entire setup, and then kind of what are the workflows. And even if there are like 10 different acute business workflows that need addressal, we usually recommend that start with one or two, and then we kind of then let's kind of build a quantitative metrics around these workflows, and define the success criteria, and from there go into kind of further the next steps and stuff. So for us, the transformation, while it is the ultimate goal, we kind of think that it's one step at a time, and take up a small kind of a use case from that business, one, two, or three, whichever there is an appetite for, trying that out. And what that does is that, without imposing, too much of risk on your, companies or internal champion, you're actually helping him kind of, just evaluate the system and this new change in a more concentrated way. While that confidence kind of starts building, we start seeing more and more people from the organization kind of coming forward, because now they are seeing that there is an impact, and there is more buy-in from different departments who come forward and say, okay, like, can we try out in this another, department or another workflow? And we strongly feel that transformation doesn't have to happen at the ground level, like right up front. So something that you mentioned about, the whole structured, and then how do you kind of start taking care of structured, unstructured data. For us, it is basically start kind of taking up these smaller workflows, implement our agentic layer on the existing system. So we don't kind of recommend changing all your fundamental systems on day one. Like, in fact, you may want to kind of business want to keep it for a long time, because there different people are dependent on that. There is a training that has happened over quarters or years. So we recommend that keep your system. We would apply an agentic layer on the existing systems, which basically kind of makes our kind of customers comfortable. And for the unstructured data that is going to come into the system, we become kind of the purveyor or kind of repository for that unstructured data. So anyway, the unstructured data was not being kind of considered. We say that, okay, we are not going to touch your structured data systems. We are just going to apply this our platform, which is going to integrate with all your systems, existing systems, and then kind of also store this unstructured data and allow you to kind of build further workflows. So it's a modular approach, and we think that that's how we would see, and that's how I personally feel that if I had a business, I would want to kind of deploy the tech in this way. So that's the kind of commonsensical approach we're taking. Nothing fancy.
Great. Thank you so much. I think it's an exciting but complex evolution, and your points really highlight how critical it is for the leadership to get aligned on this vision early. I think most marketing organizations are still just beginning to implement generative AI, yet the next evolution of AI technology is already on the horizon, and it has a potential to be much more disruptive. For marketers who often face resource constraints and the expectation to do more with less, agentic AI could be a powerful tool in the quest to identify and tap into new areas of growth. So thank you so much, Dikshant, for being on the podcast today and helping us understand that there's a seismic shift underway in how customer data will be gathered, interpreted, and activated. And of course, alongside the conversational AI and autonomous agents and agentic AI are also completely reshaping the landscape. So thank you so much for your time and effort. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you. It was likewise. It was great talking to you as well.
Great. Thank you so much. So, this is for listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it within your network. Till then, stay tuned, stay curious, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Analytics Inside. You can view all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.